Okay, so some of you couldn't hear me. Tell me that you can hear me now. And let me tell you what you missed. If you couldn't hear the beginning, Jackson came in. He was so excited because he caught a fish with Dad. So Patrick is watching the boys tonight, and I'm here talking with you. So you can hear now. Good. Okay, good. All right. So I'm so excited to be here tonight. We're talking about the body type blueprint. So I want you in the chat to type woohoo if you're excited. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Deb. Hey, Heather. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Victoria. Oh, yeah. Hey, Kendra. Awesome. Hey, Diana. Hey, Alexis. Okay. Hey, Tanya. Okay. So we are just going to jump right in because there's so much that I want to talk to you about tonight. We are going to talk about what to eat and how to train for your body type. Hey, Elizabeth. We're also going to talk about some things that you might be doing wrong. And then for those of you who took the quiz but still had some questions on what your body type even is, hey, Kelsey. Hey, Corinne. Hey. We're going to talk a little bit about that too, and I'll help you determine what your body type is. So I think watching most of you come on. Hey, Amanda, I know most of you are Beyond Fit Life Sisters. We did invite anybody who just wanted to listen in to the call to listen in. So if you're new and you're not a Beyond Fit Life member, and you're wondering what this amazing group of women is all about, I don't even know how to explain it except it's like the greatest group of women on the planet. Kelly, the quiz was when you signed up for the coaching call. Yeah, it was a download when you signed up for that. If you missed it, I can put it in the portal or post the link in the members Facebook group for you. So I know that most of you already know me, but for those of you who don't, hey, I'm Kate. I'm passionate about tonight's webinar specifically because I've seen so many women struggle with training or with nutrition or with both. And typically they're struggling because they're following a one-size-fits-all plan that doesn't work long-term. So I'm really excited to help all of our Beyond Fit Life members and anybody who's listening in. I'm so excited to help you learn how to do fitness better. And part of that comes down to creating your own unique body type blueprint. Okay. So, this topic is important, like I said, because there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to body change. Knowing your individual body type is the only way to get results long-term and to take your physique to the next level. So you guys know when you log into the Beyond Fit Life members portal, which I'm so excited. Are you liking the new member site? I am so happy to hear your feedback. It always makes me smile when you're like, yay, I love it. Or because we put so much work into it. So, it's like you never know. Are they going to like it? Is it going to be good? But it seems like it's going over really well. So thanks for all your positive feedback with that. But even with the Beyond Fit Life members portal, you download the schedule that tells you what to do when, right? And you download the workouts. But even with that, there are still things that you're kind of tweaking. With your nutrition guide, of course, you're tweaking kind of how much you're eating and what you're eating. Even with your workouts, some women are using heavier weights, some aren't using as heavy of weights. And so we're going to talk kind of all about that tonight in terms of just really taking your physique to the next level. So you need this in your life right now because while there are general principles that can be practiced by everyone, when it comes to that next level physique, and you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that, right? It's like you're making progress, but you kind of want to get to that next level, like just a little bit tighter, a little bit more toned, a little bit leaner. You have to take these general principles and you have to adjust based on your body type to make them work for you, okay? So you are in the right place if you're ready to learn what to eat and how to train for your body type. If you want to learn what you might be doing wrong, which is super important, right? And then how to determine what your body type is. So if you've been stuck at a plateau and you can't figure out how to get the results you're looking for, tonight's call's for you. If you're working hard, you're eating right, but you can't seem to figure out how to take your fitness or your fat loss to the next level, like I said, this is for you. Because, you know, I've been there and it's frustrating. It costs you time. It's like I said, it's frustrating. It costs you mental stress. And so I want to teach you a better way. I did want to share just a little bit of my story since we are going to be spending the night together. Hey, Mom. My mom is on the call. Mom, did you hear that Jackson caught a fish? He was on at the beginning of the call to tell everybody he was so excited. He's like, I want to tell the Beyond Fit ladies I caught a fish, because he knew I was talking to everybody tonight. It was so cute. Anyways, I digress. So about me, my story. Since learning what to eat and how to train for my body type, reaching and maintaining my fitness goals and my fat loss goals, it's been almost effortless. But it wasn't always this way. There was a time when I was just really, really frustrated. And you can see that picture up on the screen. I've shared it with you before. I was following all the rules. I had tried just about every diet and workout plan ever written. You guys who know me know I have a degree in exercise physiology. So I knew the science behind fat loss, but I was really frustrated because no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get like the tight, toned, and lean look that I was really going for. And to be honest, it was exhausting. I was continually spinning my wheels, and the frustration that I was feeling in the gym, it was dragging me down in other areas of my life too. At the time, I think I've told you this before, I was working as a personal trainer and group exercise instructor, and I was actually the health and wellness director at my local gym. So this was before I had the boys, and I was working that 40+ hour a week job there. So in addition to my diet, like I seriously spent every waking moment at the gym. I was participating in both like the morning and evening workout classes. Patrick was deployed, so I had tons of time. So I was like, all right, it was crazy how many hours I spent working out. And I've told you this before, but when Patrick was deployed to Afghanistan, I was just determined to get in the best shape of my life. And it kind of became my turning point, because I was just like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out. And it's crazy to think about, especially when I was working so hard and I was spending so much time on my workouts. And it was crazy. My diet was so strict. But I came to realize that I was actually sabotaging my own fat loss efforts without even knowing it. It was crazy when I figured it out. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So I don't want you to make those same mistakes. I consider myself a reasonably smart woman. I knew that stuffing my face with ice cream and tortilla chips, I love Mexican food. That's like one of my weaknesses. I knew that would not get me to my goals, which if you follow me on Snapchat, you know how often I'm at Chipotle now. Yeah, so Tanya is on the call, and she said in the chat, every time I was there, she was there. So Tanya's talking about the gym, and she's right. Like every time she was at the gym, Tanya saw me because I was always there. And there's a better way, okay? So I knew, I couldn't like pig out on a bunch of chips and salsa or, that sort of thing. But I wasn't eating chips and salsa. I was eating like chicken and broccoli for every meal. And I was spending hours at the gym, like Tanya said, okay? I knew, like a hot fudge sundae dripping with chocolate sauce and peanut butter. I also have a weakness for chocolate and peanut butter. I knew that wasn't going to get me back into my skinny jeans, right? Get me feeling tight and toned. But I was completely unaware of some of the big fat loss mistakes, the big female fat loss mistakes that were making their way into my current routine. And I was completely forgetting that I was unique, right? That my training and that my nutrition had to fit my own unique body type. So I ended up actually decreasing the amount of time I spent working out and focusing more on the right types of workouts, which is what you all are doing in the Beyond Fit Life Club. I started getting more sleep. I added a bunch of calories back into my diet. That's right. I actually ate more to weigh less, which is kind of crazy. And most importantly, I I began working on balancing my fat fighting hormones by every means possible. And that includes kind of figuring out your own body type blueprint. And when I did this, I saw a change in my physique almost instantly. I can't, like, I'm not over exaggerating. Like, the fat was just, it started melting off. Okay. So years later, even after many changes that come as a mom, that was before I had the boys. And now I have 2 boys, Jackson and Warren, who will be, gosh, they will be 2 and 4 in September, which is crazy to me. But I figured out what to eat and how to train for my body type. And I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life without spending hours at the gym. I have not had a gym membership since before Jackson was born. And so actually he's taking swimming lessons at the gym that I used to be the health and wellness director at. So this was my first time back there in like almost 4 years, which was kind of crazy. He started swimming lessons there last week. I'm like, wow, I used to spend like hours and hours in here. And now I don't even have a gym membership, and it's cool. I love it. So, you know, I don't have to spend hours at the gym. I don't have to live off of chicken and broccoli. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this information with you, so you can get started on the path to, or continue on the path to discovering how to eat and how to train for your unique body type, okay? So I told you all what we're going to cover. Here's a picture just kind of what I did and the results that I got. I decreased the amount of time I spent working out. So that's pretty cool. Saved myself a ton of time doing the Beyond Fit Life style of workouts rather than spending like, you know, evening and morning sessions at the gym. Tanya saw me every time she was there, right? Hours and hours. I focused on the right types of workouts, got more sleep, added some calories back, and just worked on fixing those fat fighting hormones. And it really does work. So, as I mentioned, here are the things that we are going to cover. I know that a few of you have jumped on the call that are not Beyond Fit Life members. So I just want to tell you to stay with us to the end, okay? So all of our sisters who are Beyond Fit Life sisters, I want you to encourage the people in the chat to stick with it, because I know it can be overwhelming, and there's going to be a lot of information, and a lot of our ladies on the call are Beyond Fit Life members who have been members for like a year or more. So they kind of, this stuff isn't brand new to them. But if it is new to you and you're feeling like, what in the world? I'm going to share everything that I can with you in our time together. Okay. But there's still so much more to learn. I promise at the end, I'll show you a way that you can get more support. If you feel still like you need some help. Okay. So don't freak out, take some notes, post anytime you have a question in the chat, and make sure you stick with us to the end, because I will let you in on a little bit of a special way that you can get support in that. It would be joining us in the Beyond Fit Life group. So yeah, Diana, it's so awesome. Your progress has been so cool. I've been loving watching your body change. It's really neat. Okay, so let's jump in to the 3 body types. Did you guys know this? Did you know that there are 3 body types? I know we did the rundown of the body types last year in the Beyond Fit Life Club, but I wanted to do it again this year because this is one of those topics that's worth repeating. It's something that is worth reminding yourself of and going over. Okay, so it's very important to learn. Although some people are clearly one of the body types on the screen, so there are 3 on the screen, most people are a mix. Okay, so for example, a lot of endomorphs might also have some of the muscular shape of a mesomorph. So they would be like an endo-meso mix. There are lots of ways that like your body type can be ranked. But in general, everyone is predisposed to being more of or most of a certain body type. Without training, without environmental influences, without altering your diet, you typically are going to fall into a category that leans more towards one of these 3 ectomorphs, endomorphs, or mesomorphs, okay? So you'll see on the screen that ectomorph women, you see that right there? Yeah, okay. Ectomorph women are where we're gonna start, and then I'll run you through all three of the body types, just in case you missed the quiz or you want kind of a little bit more information. So ectomorph women are typically the lean, lightweight women who perform generally best at distance sports that require muscular endurance. These are the runners, the cyclists, the cardio queens. They typically have a rectangle shape. They're usually thin and they typically have a flatter chest and like a more delicate build. They're very lightly muscled, so they don't have a lot of muscle. And generally they have trouble gaining weight. These type of women usually come to me complaining about being skinny fat. And this was the category that I fell into in that before picture that I showed you. It wasn't that I was, you know, obese or that my scale weight was super high, but I was just skinny fat. I didn't have a lot of muscle. I didn't have a tight toned look. Muscle growth takes longer for these types of women. It's nice because they have a fast metabolism, but you know, when you're working towards taking your physique to the next level, you actually need muscle to give you a shape. You need muscle to give you definition. So that's what you're working against when you fall into this category. The look is lean and long. And the why about this look is just the difficulty with building muscle. I will just tell you, when Patrick was deployed to Afghanistan and I started kind of my process of learning how to do fitness better, and I hadn't even developed Beyond Fit Life at that point, but that was in the works. It took me years and years and years to build muscle, and muscle is the key to giving you that tight toned lean look. Okay, so it's very important. If you fall into this category, here are some things that you really need to focus on. So if you're taking notes and you're an ectomorph, this is what you need to do. You need to train with compound movements. So that's why you notice in the Beyond Fit Life Club, our movements are compound movements. We're not just standing doing isolated bicep curls. We're doing compound movements because they have been shown time and time again, study after study, to be more effective. You also need to make sure that you're getting enough protein. I do one-on-one nutrition coaching, and time again, when I require the clients that I work with, when we start working together, they send me a 3-day food log. And that's one thing that I have to have before I even start creating their plan. And it never fails. Like, women just are never eating enough protein across the board. It's very rare to find somebody who's getting enough protein right out the gate, unless there's somebody that's been in the fitness industry for a little while. So make sure you're eating enough protein. And then the last thing about this is you can use isolation moves as finishers. So you notice this month that we have some finishers, we have some down chains where you're focusing on, let's say, for example, multiple rows at a time, or multiple, overhead extensions at a time. Those are finishers. And that's going to be a big game-changing key for all women, but especially for the ectomorphs. Now, with that said, here's what you don't do if you're an ectomorph. You don't overemphasize the isolation movements. So you're not going to do a workout where, like I said, you're standing and doing 10 bicep curls. Then you're going on to doing 10, overhead presses. And then you're going on to doing 10 lunges. Like, you don't want to do isolation things. You want to focus on the compound movements. You also don't want to do too much cardio. And this was something that I really overdid, and a big mistake that I made when I was trying to figure all this out for myself. I didn't really love running, but I did force myself, because that's what I thought I needed to do to get results, to run, to elliptical myself to death, I did lots of endurance cycling. Like I did a couple 100-mile bike rides and trained for that and triathlon stuff. And so I was just doing way, 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 way too much cardio. I don't do any formal cardio now except for like a sprint workout once a week, usually. Maybe some metabolic conditioning, like after I had Jackson or Warren, or when I was getting ready for my bikini competition, some Metcons, but I don't do the hours and hours and hours of cardio anymore because I learned how to do fitness better. Okay. So ectomorphs have to work harder on the weights in order to get that tight and toned physique. Does that make sense? Are you guys this type? Who on the call, actually, if you're an ectomorph in the chat, I want you to type me so I know really who I'm talking to. So again, are you this type? You've got the build of a marathon runner. You're lean, but maybe you don't have a ton of muscle. It can be hard to pack on size despite the hours in the gym, right? Deborah. Okay, so as we talked about, what's going on? Well, it's all due, this is going to get super geeky, but I want to tell you, hey, Kate. Okay, so Kate is on and she's an ectomorph. I'm going to get super geeky for you ectomorphs now, okay? It all has to do with satellite cell mediated, are you taking notes? Satellite cell mediated myonuclear addition. Okay, so that's a long one. But in layman's terms, here's what it means. It means that the number of cells surrounding your muscle fibers, just genetically, the number of cells that you have surrounding your muscle fibers is going to be a little bit lower. And your ability to add more by training is also going to be a little bit lower. Okay, so I was looking at some studies just to back this up. And in one study, they looked at 66 people, and the top 17 responders, okay, in this study, they experienced a 58% gain in muscle cross-sectional area. So that's just like the gain in muscle, the muscle building. And the bottom 17 of the responders, they gained nothing. So from the exact same training, 66 people, the bottom 17 gained absolutely nothing. And the top 17 gained 58% of like their muscle grew, 58%. So the ectomorphs are the bottom group. They just tend not to build muscle quickly or easily, okay? So back to what you might be doing wrong. I kind of mentioned this with the bullet points, but I just wanted to go in detail a little bit more for you. You really can't overdo your cardio, like I mentioned. 3 days of strength training for the Beyond Fit Life workouts should be coupled with low intensity leisurely activity, like leisurely walks, yoga, stretching, foam rolling. I actually last weekend did paddle boarding with the boys and with Patrick, and that was really fun. It was kind of like just slow, relaxing. You know, we weren't racing or anything, but just getting out and being active in a slow, leisurely way, that's important. You want to ditch the treadmill. Ectomorphs often gravitate towards slow distance work because that's what we're good at. But it's the worst thing that you can do, okay? And it may be kind of tempting to pack your workout routine with, like I said, those isolation moves, because you're like, well, I need to build muscle, so I'm just gonna get in here and do a bunch of bicep curls or whatever. But again, that's a mistake. The Beyond Fit hybrids are key for ectomorphs. They're key. I often see ectomorphs focusing on isolation moves, and I just am like, no, this isn't what you should be doing. These big compound movements such as squat and press, lunge row, those types of things, they involve more muscle groups and they give you the hormonal boost that helps you build muscle. So anytime you do an isolation move, it should be a supplementary move to your main workout moves. So focusing on the Beyond Fit Life hybrids from this month's workout downloads are going to be like, it's going to be key. Okay. Another quick note for those of you, hey, Alexis, she's an ectomorph. Stephanie, everybody who thinks they're an ectomorph. What you should be doing, like I said, the compound movements and the hybrid exercises, that's very important. And typically you want to be in like the 8 to 12 rep range, and you want quite a bit of volume. So there's no need to live at the gym, right? You can still build muscle without hours and hours working out. In fact, if you're working out like 4 or 5 days a week, you'll be burning off a lot of your hard-earned muscle. And I learned that the hard way. So I'm here to tell you, follow the schedule in the members portal. It really, really, really works, okay? I really like to limit my ectomorphs to 3 workouts a week. And I like to keep their actual training time after a warm-up less than 30 minutes. So if you're doing more than 30 minutes and you're doing more than, 3 days a week of weight training, you actually might be doing more harm than good. You might be sabotaging your progress without even knowing it. In terms of what to eat, in terms of your nutrition, let's see, a diet that is high in calories, you're gonna be wanting to eat a little bit more than some of our other sisters on the call. So you want to get those carbs in, you want to get that protein in, you want to get some healthy fats. It's going to aid you in your quest for muscle gain, okay? This should not be mistaken for eating just like whatever you want. Like you can't just do the chocolate fudge peanut butter sundae, or like come to Chipotle and get, a giant bag of chips with like 12 servings of guac. Like it's not just eat whatever you want, okay? But you should be eating a little bit more than some others who maybe, might be eating less based on their own body type. You don't have to steer clear of carbs as much. Things like oats and sweet potatoes and brown rice, that's actually going to be helpful. Healthy fats are things like nuts and seeds and avocado, coconut oil. That's also going to be helpful to bringing about the right results. Ectomorphs really respond pretty well to carbs because carbs spike blood sugar, and that actually helps to drive protein to your muscles. So stick with the complex kind for the most part, like sweet potatoes, the brown rice, fibrous veggies, those sort of things. And then you want to aim for about 1 to probably just over 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight. And that's going to be your protein minimum. But be wary of overdoing it. If you're getting enough carbohydrates and protein, you're not going to need to do like 3 or 4 times your body weight. Just 0.8 to 1 or just a little bit over 1 per pound of lean body weight. That would be your goal. And then just a bonus tip for you, it's really important for ectomorphs to use supplements properly. I advise doing some carbs and a protein shake before and during or immediately after your workout. And then you want to have another good meal after your workout. So definitely try to get that in if you can, just because of your high stress nature. Ectomorphs typically do well with supplements also like BCAAs, which will help you lower cortisol and protect your hard-earned muscle. Okay. Yeah, Crystal, I was dying at the guac pic. Amber, you saw that too. Yeah. Yeah. We all want Crystal's guacamole that she posted in the members group. So that's ectomorphs. Now there is a lot more to learn. So if you hear this and you fall into this category, but you're not sure what to do about it, join Beyond Fit Life. That's what I'm going to tell you. We will show you how to do everything that we talked about in the Beyond Fit Life Club. So don't be overwhelmed. Just know Beyond Fit Life is here for you and we'll take care of you. Okay? So that's to my ectomorphs. Now, let me move on to my mesomorph sisters. So mesomorphs, they are naturally muscular women who have typically a lower body fat, and they are generally pretty good at sports that require strength and power. So generally these women kind of have like that upside down triangle shape. Sometimes they're like an hourglass shape. but they generally have wider shoulders and a torso that tapers into a pretty small waist just naturally, okay? So this is sort of like everybody's like, yeah, I wish. I wish this was me naturally, right? Their arms and legs are developed. They're athletic. They usually have hard, muscular bodies. Sometimes they can have like a mature appearance with just like, I don't even know how to explain it other than like, if you know somebody that's a mesomorph, even when they were, younger growing up, they just typically look a little bit older than their age because they have more muscle than a majority of people in their age group. Okay, so that's kind of the mature appearance. They usually have good posture because of all of the muscle. And typically they gain or lose weight pretty easily, and their muscle grows quickly. So they look pretty well built. And why do they look that way? Well, they naturally have a high metabolism and they have very responsive muscular cells. Okay, so their muscle cells are very responsive. So Diana said, yes, join. A year ago, this call was my first as a Beyond Fit Life creeper. And I'm so glad I joined. Yes. So if you're just listening and you're too afraid to comment in the chat, we want you to join us. We love you, even if you're just peeping in and listening. Yeah, Beyond Fit Life's the best. Okay, so back to my mesomorphs. What do you do? Well, you keep on training like an athlete. You time your workouts to set personal bests, and you just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. So what you don't do is you don't take your body for granted, and you don't just eat whatever you like. Mesomorphs tend to naturally take their athletic builds for granted, which down the road can result in diluted workouts, which is just like not pushing yourself, not challenging yourself, and then poor diets. And so, from a health perspective, just because you have a physique look that you're happy with, kind of you're at your goal, you don't want to use that as an excuse just to eat a bunch of junk and have a poor diet. You want, to still focus from a health perspective on treating your body well. So keeping in peak physical condition is often kind of tempered by like a scattered approach for these women to eating and training. And the problem with this is that long-term, it doesn't usually end well. So from a health perspective, that's not a good idea. Just, finding something that you can stick with is much better. So if you're this type, which is anybody a mesomorph? This is generally the most rare type, okay? So if you are this type, you probably will know it from like the jealous looks that you get, okay? Because mesomorphs, they look well built without, spending much time in the gym. They pack on muscle like the second they have to pick up a dumbbell. If this sounds like you, so this is Amber, okay? Then you have hit the genetic jackpot, but you want to make the most of your DNA with some smart and strategic workout tricks. Okay. So Deb, Sylvia, Amber, you guys, what's going on with you? And here is some interesting research. The same research that was like really unflattering to my poor fellow ectomorphs, it offers plenty of positives for mesomorphs. So the worst responders in the study that I mentioned about just a couple minutes ago, they saw no change in their regulation of these muscle cells, okay? And the myogen, which was a key gene that's responsible for muscle growth, the mesomorphs in the same program in the study that I mentioned, they saw their gene that's responsible for muscle growth spike by up to 65%, okay? So mesomorphs just naturally build muscle pretty easily. But here's what you might be doing wrong. Mesomorphs typically don't train as hard as they can because they don't feel like they need to. From an outside perspective, they don't feel like they need to because they still kind of look how they want to look, or they have a decent build. But from an inside perspective, from a health perspective, from a heart health perspective, you have to train hard. You have to challenge yourself. You still have to do intense workouts. So that's why I love our Beyond Fit Life workouts, because they still challenge you. I usually give my mesomorphic clients timed workouts, and you guys know the Beyond Fit Life workouts are timed. And I encourage you to set goals for yourself, to aim for goals that raise your workout intensity. So try to get more sets done, more circuits done in our 20 minutes. So maybe you start the month and you get 3 rounds of the workout done. Set a goal to try and get 4 rounds of the workout done by the end of the month. Do something that challenges you. Deborah is a broken meso. You're not broken. You're not broken. And so do something that challenges you, okay? Make sure you keep that intensity up. And that goes along with my note for you on what you should be doing. I get that mesomorphs, they typically train athletically. That's just the nature of your body. You typically train pretty well in athletic type trainings. So I'd encourage you to do sprints in addition to your hybrid weight training, just to increase that intensity. Mesomorphs respond really well to power moves and to low reps. So don't be afraid of using really, really heavy weight and getting, working on using that as a way to increase your intensity. That's going to help bump up your metabolism and strip away any little bit of fat that you do have there that you need to get rid of. In terms of what to eat, the good news is that your body typically will respond well if you're like a textbook mesomorph. It's going to respond pretty well to any healthy food that you put into it. But with that said, you want to focus on just eating a moderate amount of carbs, and err on the side of more protein than not enough protein, of course. A basic guideline for mesomorphs, probably a place to start would be 40% complex carbs, 30% lean protein, and then 30% healthy fats if you're tracking your macros, and then you can adjust based on your progress. So for example, that would be a plate that contained veggies, like, maybe some broccoli and some cauliflower, maybe some grilled chicken. Healthy fat would be some olive oil to saute everything, and then maybe some brown rice. That would be like a staple dish, okay? Bonus tips for my mesomorph sisters. Mesomorphs do respond really well to BCAAs because they are going to aid in recovery from your tough workouts. So if you're taking what I'm saying tonight to heart and you boost your intensity this month, you do want to make sure you give your body what you need to recover. So using BCAAs is going to be really important. Also make sure that you factor in recovery days. Although, the tough nature of your workouts, you might adjust relatively quickly because you do have more muscle mass. You do want to give yourself some days off to just, from a health perspective, to recover fully and to give your muscles what they need to rebuild and to repair. So that is my mesomorphs. I'm trying to breeze through this as quickly as I can so I can save some time for questions. Alexis asked, how many times a day should we take BCAAs? So here's what I do. I think you need them before or during your workout, and then again sometime in the afternoon. That's what I do on training days. On non-training days, I'll mix a scoop or 2 up in some water and I'll sip on that maybe like throughout the afternoon or in the morning if I'm feeling low energy. Once or twice a day is generally a good rule of thumb for the BCAAs. You can take them a little bit more, just watch for any digestive issues that you have, but once or twice a day is a good place to start. Okay, so let's talk about the endomorphs. But before we get there, I did want to give you the information to join because I'm sensitive to leaving somebody feeling overwhelmed. And I don't know if you're listening on the call and you're afraid to type in the chat because you're like, what? Like, I don't know these ladies. Like, who are they? Why are they acting like, they're BFFs? And like, I don't know what they're talking about. Well, we are BFFs and we want you to be our BFF too. Okay. But I know that it can be overwhelming. So you can join us at beyondfitlife.com. And I created a coupon code for you to use, webinar special. If you join us at beyondfitlife.com and type in webinar special, you will see a super crazy, awesome deal. Like, seriously, this deal is pretty insane for you to join for Beyond Fit Life this month, okay? So go to beyondfitlife.com. You'll get a schedule that tells you what to do when. You'll have access to tons and tons of recipes. You will have like the best support system ever. So go there and type in webinar special and you will see what I'm giving you, which is so cool. I'm so excited about it. Okay, so now let's move on to our endomorphs. So who thinks they're an endomorph? I know there must be a lot of you. Yeah, Crystal's like, BFL Sisterhood rocks. It really does rock. We have the best accountability ever. So you guys know that we had 199 people register for this call. Now, I know that 199 people are not typing in the chat because I can see who's writing, okay? So that means we have some people listening and some people couldn't get on tonight, so they'll be listening by replay. But 199, that's quite a bit, right? So I know that people are listening and they're like, what is this group? And all I can say is like, it's the best group of ladies ever, and you don't even fully appreciate it till you're part of it, and you're like, wow, like the support is so cool. It's so cool. Okay, so let's see who all's in Indo. We've got Corinne, we've got Deborah, we've got Kendra, Liz, Crystal, Indo in the house. Okay, yeah, so Diana's like, I must say, I was not so into chatting or connecting with strangers, but seriously, it is the best sisterhood. Yeah, so if you're not into the stranger thing, like stranger danger, you don't need to chat with us, but you do need to go to beyondfitlife.com, enter the code webinar special so you can get the crazy deal, and then just come join us, okay? So, okay, so let's finish out our call tonight talking to the endomorphs. These women typically are heavier women who naturally carry just a little bit more body fat, just kind of overall. They have a more round and soft shape, and typically you'll see the illusion that much of the mass has been concentrated in the abdominal area. This may or may not be true, but typically these are the women that tend to look like they have more belly fat, okay? The arms and legs of an extreme endomorph are usually pretty short. So endomorphs typically have really short arms and legs, and their hands and feet, this is kind of crazy, but this is straight from science. The hands and feet of women who fall into this category, into this endomorphic category, are pretty small. Generally, the upper arms and thighs are more developed than the lower part of the arms or legs. And the woman with this type of body has a really high waist. And typically, weight loss is difficult for these ladies. So the mesomorphs, they gain muscle easily. And the endomorphs actually gain muscle easily as well. But the problem is the mesomorphs generally have a high metabolism. So they gain muscle, but they don't store fat. They burn fat. The problem for many endomorphs is that they gain muscle pretty easily, but they also store fat and they have trouble burning fat. So this gives them kind of like a pear look or an apple look that has, more belly fat around the middle. And really it's just a tendency to store body fat, okay? So, what do you do? So Corinne said she's a textbook endo, kind of crazy. Yeah, it is crazy when you're like, oh, So there's a word for this. Like, this is science. Okay. So what do you do if you fall into this category? Well, you train with intensity. You watch your carb intake. And if you want to balance out your physique, really talking about taking it to the next level, you have to build your shoulders, because that's going to give you the illusion of a smaller waist. Okay, so that's a bikini trick. I don't know kind of where you are with your goals, but some ladies on the call I know are looking really hard to take their physique to that kind of competitive level. And so that's something that I did want to throw in there. What you shouldn't do is do a bunch of endless crunches. So if you hold a bunch of body fat around your middle, you're an endomorph, your belly and kind of your lower body is where you are holding all the fat. So you're like, I'm just going to do a ton of crunches and flatten my stomach. That's not going to work. Jogging for hours isn't going to work. And then this may seem kind of random, but I wanted to throw it in here. Like, please do not drink sports drinks. This is something that I see a lot of on social media and just with women drinking sports drinks or high calorie, high sugar drinks that are supposed to be healthy. Don't do that. Okay. So the endomorph is the hardest body type to have in terms of managing your weight and your overall fitness. So I want to give you some ideas of what you can do to get to your goal. Okay. So are you that type? Everybody's like, yes, this is me. This is me. This is me. Okay. Tanya, you are small, but you're so sweet and in such a cute little package. Okay. So what do you do if this is your type? If you're having trouble shifting your weight, getting weight off your hips and butt and belly, chances are you're probably an ectomorph. Typically, like I said, these women are characterized by having a relatively high amount of stored fat. They typically have a more wide waist and generally maybe like a larger bone structure. What's going on? Why is it this way? Well, the good news is that from an evolutionary perspective, in terms of, when human beings were first created and food was scarce, when humans with fat storing metabolisms could live longer because their body stored fat and they could use the fat as fuel. But the bad news is that, now we don't really need that. And so these genes that are kind of causing your body to store fat, now they're sort of working against you. So the main things that I see women doing wrong here, actually, let's go for the good first. The good part, there's no point in spending hours on the treadmill. Okay. So the first thing I tell people who fall into this category when they're trying to lose weight is ditch the long, steady state, tons of cardio, ditch the thousands of crunches. You don't have to spend hours at the gym, even if you have a lot of weight to lose. Okay, so that's the good news. We can get you to your goal in a small amount of time. You just got to do the right thing. Okay. So what I'm telling you to do is the Beyond Fit Life interval style conditioning, where you're doing your sprints, you're doing your Beyond Fit hybrids. This is going to strip the fat away. Okay. Sprints are amazing. And if you're doing sprints and metabolic conditioning, you don't have to do hundreds of crunches to get your stomach flat. Spot reducing fat, you guys know this, it just doesn't work. You have to lose fat from everywhere to see results. Okay. Sorry, that was my phone. Oh, I should have turned that off. Anyways, so while much of an endomorph's focus should be on shedding fat through hormonal responses, so pay attention in the Beyond Fit Life members portal to that section on how to fix your fat fighting hormones. That's something you really want to pay attention to. You also do respond pretty well to high intensity exercise. So I think you need to focus on using heavy weights because it's going to burn calories even after you rest. Okay. So doing high intensity exercise, using heavy weights, and focusing on the hormones is going to be really key for you. The cool thing about using like the heavy weights and doing the Beyond Fit Life workouts is that then your body, from a hormonal perspective, burns fat and calories even while you're resting. So, if you are consistent with this, you really truly can see a change without doing, those hours and hours at the gym. So, like I said, if you want a specific schedule that tells you exactly what to do when, go to beyondfitlife.com. I already told you that. So you can find all of that there. In terms of endomorphs, wow, I'm getting sleepy. Oh, in terms of endomorphs and what to eat from a nutrition perspective, a low carb diet is going to be key for you. You do want some, complex carbs and, some fibrous veggies and those sort of things, but you want to complement that with high protein and high fiber intake. Nutrients, of course, you want to focus on a nutritious diet. So make sure you're getting plenty of fibrous veggies and the lean protein. But you do have to watch what you eat more strictly than somebody with, a mesomorphic type of body. Okay. So I really recommend focusing on the 2 P's, focusing on protein and produce. Okay. So Crystal said, heavy weights have been a game changer for your shape. Yes, Crystal, your shape has changed tremendously. It's so awesome to see. And it does absolutely work. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Deborah, that's really interesting, Deb. Did you guys see that fact that Deb posted in the chat? Huh. Yeah, cool. Okay. So, bonus tip for my endomorphs, and then we'll save just a couple of minutes for questions. There's tons of evidence that shows that extra weight around the midsection can be caused by high stress levels or just like a low ability to handle everyday stress. So you really do want to minimize the effects of the stress hormone cortisol, which you guys know if you're a Beyond Fit Life member and you've been in the group for a while, we talk a lot about the hormone cortisol. So you want to make sure you're getting plenty of sleep and that you're avoiding overtraining. A couple of other things that can contribute to belly fat and storing extra fat there are drinks, like I mentioned. I just see, it's popular, I guess, to have like sports drinks or other kind of healthy smoothie bowls or whatever kind of drink that you're drinking. Just make sure that they're not loaded with carbs because that will spike your blood sugar like through the roof. And that's not going to be good for you in terms of a fat burning perspective. So that would be my tip for kind of that. Focus on the BCAAs. That's going to help to lower cortisol. And also, endomorphs do not handle alcohol well. Alcohol has macro breakdown that tends to be pretty high. So you get a lot of calories, and those are going to be stored typically for this type of woman pretty quickly. So you do kind of want to steer clear of that as well. Okay. So yeah, so like all of those bowls and all of that, like all the healthy kind of bowls that are cropping up, they look so pretty, but they're just really, really, really high in sugar and carbohydrates. So like they might have like a lot of maybe vitamins or like they're trendy, but for fat loss, it's not going to be your best option. Okay. So let's see. Here's the last piece of our call tonight for anybody who wants to join us. We want you to join us. We really, really, really do. I just, from the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how much, for those of you who are Beyond Fit Life members already, I cannot tell you how much I just love seeing the support. There is such value in our community. And so I want to thank you guys for being here, really. You are blessings to me and to so many of the other ladies in the group. So for those of you who are on that are members, thank you, and I love you. I will save a minute for questions, but if you're not a member, here's what you can do. You can go to beyondfitlife.com and then use the coupon code. Type in webinar special, okay? And then that will give you the discount for tonight. So you can join us, you can download the workouts, you can download the schedule, you'll get all the tools about your fat fighting hormones, you'll get lots of recipes, just so much, like I can't even tell you how awesome it is, okay? So that's what you need to do. You need to go to beyondfitlife.com and use that code webinar special. If you are already a member, log in, make sure you have your stuff printed for August. I know most of you are already going through those workouts and you've been on track. So we have our next workout tomorrow and I'm really excited. Yeah, Melissa, Sisterhood of the Shrinking Pants. I love it. I love it. Okay, so Lisa doesn't know if she's an endo or a meso or something in between. And you can be a combination of both. Typically, if you feel like you might be a combination of something and mesomorph, work on that other something first. So if you think you're an endo, meso, work on the endo tips first, and that should bump you over fully to being a meso. If you think you're an ectomorph with some mesomorph, qualities, focus on the ectomorph kind of tips, and then that should bring you into the mesomorph category as well. Generally speaking, our goal is to get everybody to the place where they have that mesomorphic look, where you have a high metabolism, you have a lean look, you have muscle that gives you a tight and toned and, gives you the definition. So yeah, sprints for ectomorphs. Sprints once a week, Heather, are fine, but you're not going to want to do anything other than that. And you want to make sure you're focusing on your leisurely activities. For ectomorphs, the leisurely part is going to be huge because ectomorphs typically have high cortisol and you need more time to recover from your workouts. Okay, Crystal, go feed your babies. Thanks for being here. Alexis said, she took the quiz and she's split across all three. So if you're split across all three, then really you would focus on being right in the middle, which is mesomorph. So that's a good place to be. You would just focus on the middle section that we talked about tonight. And if you have questions or if there's anything you're unsure of, post in the members group and I'll answer anything that I can for you. Do you have a training certification that you recommend? Yes. So I think it's awesome for anybody who's interested in like long-term education to do courses for a full degree, like exercise science, that sort of thing. The industry is trending towards that way, but still, they're still absolutely accepting some good quality personal training certifications through sources like ACSM. That's probably one of the gold standards. There are a few more too. So if you have questions on that, post in the group and I'll post some links. Most of those have courses that you can study online and then you can take the course and pass the test. I think a lot of them do it online. So yeah, remind me to post that if you will. Post in Amber, post in the Facebook group that you asked that question and I'll send you some more information. Yes, Deb, your type changes over time. Yes, especially as your hormones change, as you age, your body type can absolutely change. Yeah, Tiffany, yeah, you could absolutely be a meso. Just because you're shorter doesn't mean you have to be the endomorph. Yes, if you took the quiz and you're 7 out of 9 meso, then I would go with that. The quiz was a download when you registered, so I wanted you to download and take it before, but it looks like some people missed it. So I will post the quiz for you in the members portal and in the Facebook group, okay? I promise I will do that. Yes, after having babies, your body changes a ton, Elizabeth. So it can be frustrating, but you know, small changes like we talked about, and we can get you there. Um, you seem to need, Kate said she seems to need different weights for different arm moves to really work them. Absolutely, you can change weights during your circuit. I usually have like a set of heavier weights and a set of like moderate weights, and I switch between them throughout the circuit, and that works pretty well for me. Okay, well, I am going to go put my boys to bed. I'm going to do stories and prayers and teeth brushing. But if you have questions, post them in the members group. I will be in there tomorrow morning to answer everything that I can for you. And again, if you're not a member and you're listening in, please, please, please consider joining us. This is an offer that is just too good to pass up. So go to beyondfitlife.com, use the code webinar special. You'll get the special offer to join us for this month for just $1. And you can see what it's all about, okay? Okay, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being on. I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.